the block of Halloween horror over here at Blood and Black Run Podcast. All season long, September and October will be celebrating with quirky, funny horror parodies. Join us for your favorites, from satirical slashers to classic parodies and even some throwback spooks. I'm even told Abbott and Costello will be rising from the dead. Celebrate with us, Blood and Black Run Podcast, as we dive into HaHaHalloween.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Run Podcast. I'm Ryan from closeplantation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
We're doing pretty well, I think. Actually, just to start it off, we had a nice little day yesterday for someone's happy birthday. So, yeah. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, it's me.
No, it's you. Yeah, it's you, unfortunately. Yeah.
Suffering from old age now, huh?
So we spent a good part of the day yesterday enjoying some brewskis at a local place that we love and keep dear to our heart, and also the beer we have on the show today, fortuitously, because we were able to grab those while we were there. So we'll talk more, I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to spoil it now. We were at the Treehouse compound in Saratoga.
Yeah, the Treehouse compound. That's right. Well, it is a compound, isn't it? It's big.
Yeah. We looked like a nice fetching gay couple there with you, with your your sweater on for work, and
Very true.
No wonder why they had somebody come over and be like, you guys can't figure out how to get the propane working on this, can you? Keep you warm.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a good time though. It's nice, and we'll talk about the beer that we have for the show later on. But it just happened to be, Martin's birthday is around spooky season, so it's nice because if we go to these places, a lot of times they also have their Halloween beers or whatever. So we were able to snag a couple of those for the show today. The other thing that we're doing, again, we're still continuing HaHaHalloween, enjoying the humor in horror movies, the horror comedies and horror parodies and all kinds of satire. Last week we did Student Bodies, which, again, was one of the earlier horror parodies or satires of the time, especially considering the release date of 1981, which was very, very close to the heyday of slasher films, especially, at the beginning of the slasher craze. And similarly, on today's episode, we have another movie from 1981, released very, very closely to Student Bodies, and resembling in a lot of ways the same type of film as Student Bodies, with, maybe a different mix of comedy here and there, but a very similar style, and even related to the slasher formula as well. And as we'll talk about in this one tends to riff on popular movies of the time period that weren't slashers, which is kind of different from Student Bodies. Student Bodies really, as we talked about, stayed pretty in its lane with Halloween, Friday the 13th, a little bit of Prom Night, Black Christmas maybe here and there, but within the slasher wheelhouse. Now, this movie that we're talking about today really strayed outside, even though it was parodying slashers particularly, it strayed outside of that genre to kind of talk about or reference popular movies of the time period that might not have been slashers. So I found that kind of interesting because, again, when we're doing these types of releases, we try to structure the episodes in a way where we're not doing a similar movie like back to back. But in this case, it just kind of happened to fall that way, where we're kind of comparing two movies that are extremely similar, released very, very close together. It just happened to fall because actually we swapped out a movie at the end of this series that we wanted to do instead. So it kind of just worked out that way. But we're talking about 1981's Wacko today. And again, this movie, I would argue, probably not very well known. I don't know if you ever heard of Wacko before?
Yes, I have actually.
Oh, you? Yeah. You mean Wacko from the Animaniacs?
God damn it! I was gonna say, and the Yakko and the Warner sister died.
Sorry, I stole your joke from you.
Just wait, way to just come in and take that, Jesus.
Yeah, sorry, I stole that. But
I was doing that a lot throughout the entire thing, just going, "Hello, nurse."
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of sexy in the movies.
That's true. This is another one of those sort of what you would call sex teen romps or sex comedies of the time as well. Not necessarily its main function, but for sure does include a lot of that. Now, I think also this movie, as I was saying, is just not really well known. It's not a movie that really, I don't think it got a lot of reviews. I don't know that it had a super wide release. It is a pretty cheaply made movie, as you can tell right away. And what's that?
I said, how dare you?
And the other thing is that, I didn't even know about it until probably a few years ago when Vinegar Syndrome happened to drop it my way for a review. They were releasing it on Blu-ray, and I had no idea about it. So I checked it out. And it happened to be, too, that it is also a Halloween movie, which it was another reason why I really wanted to include it in this version of HaHaHalloween, because it just makes sense. You're technically doing Halloween season, and you want to include a few movies that might tangentially be related to Halloween. Well, Wacko is one. It takes place around Halloween, and there's like a whole Halloween prom night thing that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you really stop and think about it. But who's having their prom at Halloween? But regardless, I thought it was a cool pick because I don't think a lot of people do know about it. I think it is even probably less well known than Student Bodies, and just not really well referenced, except for the fact that it does have a lot of people in it, like people that you would recognize. Actors that you're kind of thinking like, how the hell did they get in this movie? Who roped them into this thing?
Half the cast.
Yeah, exactly. Now, like we said, you haven't seen it before, you never heard of it before. This one was directed by Graydon Clark, and that name probably doesn't ring a bell to you, because he was not a really well-known director of horror movies, but he did do a few horror movies, and one that I wanted to point out is the film Black Shampoo, which is technically a blaxploitation movie. Now, you've probably never seen it, never heard of it, anything like that, right?
Heard of it, I've never seen it.
But he did direct that blaxploitation movie, Black Shampoo. I've never seen it either myself, but great name. That instantly makes you like, what is that?
He was also the writer for it, so
Right. Yes. Yeah. He wrote a lot of his stuff. Not, again, like I said, not very well known, and the movies that he did direct, not generally that well regarded. Another one that he did that you can find on IMDb, which again I've never seen this one either, but it's a Jack Palance movie, Angels Brigade, and it has like a 2.3 out of 10 on IMDb rating right now. So, yes, he, did a lot of movies. A lot of them were not that good, but we're not here to talk about those poorly received movies. We're here to talk about Wacko. Like I said, has a Halloween aesthetic to it, very limited, I think, as we'll discuss. And just briefly throwing some names out there, the main cast includes Joe Don Baker. And I know you had said, like, you texted me and you're like, oh, I love Joe Don Baker, which kind of was a little bit weird to me because, like, not really many people would, it's not like a household name for most people, I think. Like, he definitely had a number of films, but like no one is really sitting around, off the top of their head playing like,
You don't remember him in the Congo?
In Congo? Yeah, no, I don't really, because I've only actually seen Congo one time, but...
That's more than enough.
Yeah, right. And he's also in Goldeneye, too.
And he was in Fletch.
Yep.
He co-starred in Fletch with, Chevy Chase.
Mars Attacks. So, yeah, like, he had a pretty good run.
Well, like I said, like, he was, like, I mainly know him... he was in Goldeneye and Tomorrow Never Dies as the CIA agent Jack Wade. But before that, he was actually Brad Whitaker, the arms salesman, one of the main villains in The Living Daylights, Timothy Dalton's first Bond film. So
yep.
But it's great. First time, like, he comes running in, like, holy shit! Like, without even having like Wikipedia pulled up, I'm like, Joe Don Baker, let's go!
Yeah, that kind of surprised me. I was like, whoa. I didn't realize that you recognized him like right away, but I thought it was pretty cool. And then not only Joe Don Baker, I don't know if you're as familiar with George Kennedy.
Do, but not as much. I was more with Charles Napier being like, what are you doing here?
Yeah. George Kennedy is kind of one of those character actors that would show up in quite a few of these types of movies, or show up in a lot of like cult films. He was in Creepshow 2. Not that that's probably doesn't draw much attention for you, because it's not like he stands out in that film. But yes, he was in a number of cult film classics of the 70s and 80s. Showing up just kind of like this in this movie, where he's just kind of there, and could be humorous, could be just a serious role, but kind of recognizable for cult film fans, as the film kind of makes clear throughout, as it kind of plays him up to be sort of a ridiculous character, and then at the end kind of comes back to him. And then not only that, but like E.G. Daly is here too, she's credited as Elizabeth Daly here, so you would be understandably not recognizing the name at first, because throughout most of her career she's gone as E.G. Daly, but in her early years in her acting roles, before she went into more of voice acting, she used to be called Elizabeth Daly. So
I know, and you were excoriating me for like, I was like, oh, she's E.G. Daly was in this movie, and you're like, you don't recognize her? And
that's right.
Sorry, I don't recognize her acting credits. I know the voice acting credits, okay? Like
that's
Tommy Pickle, like every Klasky Jospo production on Nickelodeon from the 90s to early 2000s.
I definitely found it interesting too that they have all these characters, and they kind of are just here for like sometimes a couple of minutes. Like you mentioned Charles Napier, and he's here for like 2 minutes tops. That's all he gets as like the asshole chief. But recognizable. So really interesting. I don't know. I just wanted to kind of go through the cast a little bit, flesh them out, because for all of like the the very limited range that this movie had, it had quite a number of people in it that you would recognize. So, all right. But with that said, let's take a break real quick and talk about the beer that we've got on the show, because this is, again, we went to Treehouse, and this is actually a beer that's been like 2 years in the making for. Like I've really wanted to get this beer, since I saw it release, and it's just been out of reach most of the time because we weren't able to get to a Treehouse that was in like Massachusetts. But now that it's so close to us, so near us, I definitely wanted to make it a stopping point for me to grab at some point. And luckily, it was there when we were at the compound, so I had to grab it along with a couple of other spooky beers that they have. Besides this one, they also release Evil Green and Evil Haze. I missed out on the Evil Haze, I think. I got a different one. I didn't get that one, but yeah. I was really excited to see all of the Halloween beers there. And the one that I've always wanted to get because the Julius is the staple beer of Treehouse. And the can is so beautiful. I love the design, the simple yet very Halloweeny design of the can. It's called Evil Julius, and it's a rendition of their Julius line that's a triple IPA, and that they've kind of made sinister for the Halloween season. But yeah, the can I love. Do you like the can art on it? I love it. It's like eye catching.
Yeah, it's the Julius logo.
Yeah,
with it more golden and
like orange and blackish.
Yeah, spooky.
And there's a skull in the background too. If you're looking at it in the dark, you can't really see. But if you shine a light on it, you'll see that.
I just noticed that.
There's the skull floating there in the back.
Helping out your lazy-eyed, blind friend. So thank you. Right. I didn't even know.
Didn't even see that, huh? Yeah, it's pretty cool. And yeah, so I guess I'll let you go first because I've spoken a lot throughout this introduction. What do you think about the Evil Julius?
It's pretty damn good. Very, very hoppy. Very juicy. It's got very prominent typical blood orange tangerine flavors to it. That's where the citrus totally lies in. Very smooth, easy drinking. Get a little bit of the alcohol heat at the back end, which isn't bad, especially on a day like today because it's pretty cold up here in upstate New York. So does have a nice warming effect, like you're drinking a nice brandy. But I haven't had a Treehouse, Julius, let alone one of their hazy IPAs, and been anywhere near disappointed. But unlike those fine folks there, I'm not gonna be the one to pick out one of the 30 hops in here. But it's just good. Like it a lot. Give it a shot. That 4-pack is worth the $25. So
yeah, I agree. I think it's really tasty. For a triple, you can't really taste the alcohol content too much to it. It goes down pretty smooth. What I do notice is that it is a very hazy brew. It's exceptionally hoppy. Got a slight bitterness to it, but also what it has is a nice candied flavor to it. Because it can be on the sweeter side. Especially with the triple hops. Now, in terms of all the brewing terminology and things, they throw a lot around on the can that sounds interesting, doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of
temperature.
High mash temperature, and they've
additional sweet malts.
That's I think the one that stood out to me was where they said they are an arduously selected blend of hops throughout the brewing process, including in the bright tank. So again, I don't know, to me it doesn't really mean all that much. But it does boil down to a really good beer, and I'm really enjoying it. I think it's very smooth. At 9%, I think it's a little dangerous, to be honest with you, because it does go down so smooth, and it's nicely sweet and hoppy. I think it's overall really tasty. Nice citrus flavor to it. I think I like, too, how it does have that sort of candied sweet note to it, which kind of makes it feel appropriate for Halloween. So, yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. I guess not surprised, but I enjoy this beer, and I'm glad that, I've waited for it for 2 years, and now that I've had it, I think it's pretty solid. So, definitely check it out if you have an opportunity to. And again, like I said, I think they have at least 3 or 4 different Halloween themed beers around. So, yeah.
Which again is something that anytime we have done Treehouse beer, the one thing that is very much of note is the fact that they have, if you look at their pickup on where we were, they have over 20 different fucking beers for you to choose. And they're all varying styles. Where else are you gonna get a Mars and a Baltic Porter, a Schwartz beer, cream ale, alt beer, double IPAs, like, holy shit.
Right.
So, which apparently they got 2 Marsons out. I didn't know that.
Oh, really? No, I didn't know that either.
They got Brisk, which we didn't do. And Solitude, it looks like.
Oh, interesting. I think we did Solitude once before.
Yeah.
I don't think we did Brisk ever.
I'm trying to see what the difference is, but
yeah. I don't even know if I remember seeing Brisk there, but
it's on their page for the Saratoga.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Oh well, we missed out.
I'll go down next week.
Yeah, go back. You got the week off, so
we need more Marsons.
There you go. All right, well, let's get into Wacko.
Wacko!
It's wild and wacky.
Don't you want to just do that? Like you're 5 years old and you just found out. Does anyone do that anymore? Or is that like a long lost art?
I feel like they don't. Yeah, I feel like they don't anymore. So the Wacko is centered around this killing, like a legendary killing done by the Lawnmower Killer, who at the beginning of this movie you see donning almost like in it's almost like the Adventures of Pete and Pete, the episode Halloweenies. I feel like they fucking watched Wacko and they were like, let's do that for a Pete and Pete episode because it is so oddly related to Wacko. Like, so you get the there's a pumpkin-headed guy, right? Because in this movie, the Lawnmower Killer, for whatever reason, just sports a pumpkin on his head. And you also have the funeral march that would be played, the boom, 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 which was a theme that they also used for the Alfred Hitchcock show, which is another reason why that keeps popping up again and again in this movie. But Halloweenies, the Pete and Pete episode, also uses that theme. And I just find it weird that they are so closely related. So I would be very interested if anybody who worked on Pete and Pete happens to be listening.
Big Wacko fans.
Yeah, happens to be listening to this episode and they're like, yeah, that's actually what was inspiring us for the Halloweenies episode. I'm very curious to know because there's a lot of like coincidences that seem like that's it, like
too
an
close.
Impossibility. Yeah, exactly. It just seems like they were influenced by Wacko. But anyway, yeah, so there's a pumpkin-headed lawnmower killer. He goes around with this giant fucking 1980s push mower that
which doesn't even look gas operated.
Yeah.
It looks like an old school,
Now again, is that a thing? Was that a thing back in the 80s? I don't know. I don't recall ever seeing or hearing of a time where like they didn't have like a tractor. They had a gigantic gas-powered push mower. I don't. This is something that I was wondering when I was watching this movie. Is like, is that an actual thing? Because I don't know. I've never seen one before. But that's what the killer uses, is that giant lawnmower. In the beginning of the movie, it shows like 13 years ago, our protagonist's sister was murdered by the Lawnmower Killer in gruesome fashion right in front of her. And then throughout the movie, the characters will keep bringing up things like, I know that you're scarred for life from the images that you must carry around with you every day of your life. It's like a running joke throughout, but the trauma of that past 13 years ago is what really keeps the Wacko theme going throughout the movie. What do you think about the pumpkin-headed killer and stuff? What you like that inclusion for Halloween or?
So the problem that this movie kind of has, is the fact that it's like, unlike Student Bodies, which was focused on like a couple of, films to parody, this is like all over the fucking place. First off, Wacko. What's that a parody of? Psycho. There's a lot of Psycho references here, a lot of Hitchcock references. Why? And especially in 82, would you be like, trying to pander to like that. I don't know, because it doesn't fit in at all with the pastiche of fucking these, very grindhouse, exploitive,
Yeah.
films. I mean, granted, I guess you could say like people were thinking like Psycho was crude back in the 60s, but still, even besides that, like it's just like especially when it comes to like the whole like like teens fucking all this and that, like it doesn't it's oddly framed, and I think it's a funny idea for like a legend, like with like a lot of these movies, like Jason comes from the lake, or Michael Myers, he's gonna walk around, he's the monster, or Freddy touches children. Here it's like it's some asshole with a pumpkin head on it with this giant lawnmower just mows people over. It's being incredibly over the top.
Yeah,
which is a funny enough idea. I don't think overall though, when it comes to like the pumpkin head killer, it does, like there's just not enough, and really you don't really get to see that enough in the film to really have an investment into it.
And I do think too that the inclusion of the pumpkin head as a killer is probably just because this movie kind of wanted a Halloween-esque setting, but it doesn't really do a whole lot to make it seem like it's Halloween throughout. Like, the film will continuously tell you it's Halloween. And it'll say like, oh yeah, we're having our Halloween prom, and
hold on. Excuse me. Hold on. It's not the Halloween prom.
What do they call it?
The Halloween pumpkin prom.
That's right.
They say that like 49 times.
Halloween
I almost wanted to mark it down for like every time they say it. Like take a drink anytime they say it. It's like hickory honey ham. Like who would call the Halloween prom? Like why not one Halloween dance? There's no such thing as a Halloween prom.
The Halloween
prom is at
That's what I was saying. I've never heard of a Halloween prom where they roll prom into the Halloween party.
This is just as lazy and slipshod as Lacey Chabert making everything into Strudelfest.
True.
For that one movie. Like, we got strudel this. This large town's going to go tits up if we don't have enough strudel things here, where's Franco Nero teaching about like coming out and being like
whittling
the pump, the great gourd of America, pumpkins. You don't know how good you have it. Like it's fucking stupid.
Yeah. And again, what's the fascination here? Student bodies and Wacko with school dances. Like, is it just because there's a common thing that I guess they would have back in the day?
Well,
like
Carrie, I think you think of Carrie with the prom and stuff, which was
I guess prom night, but but like,
but if you think though too, at least with when Student Bodies is taking the piss out of that notion, it was funny because the principal's up there like, oh yeah, they're dead, and we got the prom night tonight. We also had the football game. He lists like 12 things off, and he says and you're probably wondering why we having it all on the same night. Well, I can't afford any more in the budget, so we got to get it all out in one night. It's pretty funny. Here it's just
it's just kind of rolled.
It's just rolled in like we're having a dance.
And I guess what I was saying too is I think like the film wanted to have that seasonal setting, a Halloween setting, but it doesn't really do a whole lot besides that, and actually saying like it's a Halloween dance. It doesn't really have a lot of Halloween aesthetic to it. There's very little decorations. It looks like it was shot in California in like July. It doesn't really have much going for it in that like kind of aesthetic. So they had to, I don't know, like the pumpkin-headed killer is an easy way to say like, look, it's Halloween. There's a pumpkin head walking around. I think it was a lazy way to do it, to be honest with you. But at the same time, like, I appreciate the Halloween aesthetic, even though I don't think that the film does a great job of selling it. Like, again, there's like, if you look, there's like 2 decorations in the whole movie. I think they're like on the front of the Mary's like front door. One shot of it that you see, and that's it. But I'm also a stickler for Halloween decorations in Halloween movies. If it's, you've missed an opportunity if you don't include them. So, but yeah, the whole idea of the Lawnmower Killer coming back 13 years later, and the film follows Joe Don Baker's character, Dick Harbinger, which is a great name. Not just the Dick part, but the Harbinger part.
Well, because he's constantly, out there, everyone.
The boy who cried wolf, like, the Lawnmower Killer's coming back. He's coming back. I know it. It's great because this guy, he plays like supposed to be a hard-boiled detective type character, and it's just over the top ridiculous in how he's shown in pretty much every sequence. He's like a disheveled looking man. I love the opening scene when we meet him and he's fucking getting ready for work and he's got his briefcase, his valise that he opens up and like throws everything into, and then he's also pouring coffee into the valise at the same time, just like doing all of it. There's like a donut box on his wall that he just grabs a donut from when he comes down the stairs. It's all great because it's like...
And I would say the papers of like failed, killer, on his walls everywhere.
Yeah. It's great. Like physical and just like visual comedy that has, and I really like that first part where we first meet him because I think it's probably one of the funniest moments that we see. He doesn't even have to say anything. You just kind of get all the comedy from just watching him, which is great. But I think that he's a fun character to follow throughout because he's probably arguably the best part of Wacko.
Easily.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and you said it off the show, but I do agree with you. He's probably the only reason that you stay tuned in. If the film didn't have him, I don't know if it would have been as funny or as entertaining as it ends up being. And that's saying something too, because like we talked about with Student Bodies, I do feel like Wacko starts off kind of strong and fizzles out towards the end. It's hard to sustain this type of comedy, which is, and I would say it's a different type of comedy from Student Bodies. While they have a similar aesthetic and ideas, the way that they are presenting the jokes is a little bit different. I think Wacko's a little bit more rapid fire in how many jokes it's just kind of like throwing at the audience all the time, whether they be physical gags or kind of like dialogue type gags. I feel like it's even more chaotic in Wacko, and sometimes random, where it just kind of comes out of nowhere. And I feel like it's really hard to sustain that for a 90-minute movie. At a certain point, the audience is kind of like, all right, enough's enough. I've suspended my disbelief for too long.
There's not enough plot to carry it forward because you can only, if you're rapid firing jokes like that, they got to hit more than they, don't. And if they, aren't hitting, then you're not going to be engaged.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Do you think they hit more than they don't, or?
It's like, just like Student Bodies, it's 50-50. There's like some stuff that's, again, a lot of the stuff is with Joe Don Baker, like the whole, like, let me tell you how this happened. He's driving in the car and he's like, this is why I'm so fucking crazy. And he's like, no, I'm just kidding. That's not what happened. Here's what really happened. And it's him like, I was working a sting with a prostitute and he's getting this shit. He's like, that's not what happened. This is what happened, I was a cop, and I had to be dressed as a clown. I didn't want to be. I wanted the fucking kangaroo suit. And I had to, like stuff like that's funny. I don't get the mowing the lawn bit.
The hey, dad's a peeping Tom on his own daughter.
His own daughter, and like, oh, I'm just mowing the lawn. I'm just mowing the lawn.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a very long joke to pay off at the end, but like it's just silly.
Yeah.
A lot, like, again, like the whole like having a character named Norman Bates. I mean, and basically, be Norman Bates. That's like, again, we're still a couple of years from Psycho 2 and 3, so I don't know why they got put in there. Harry Palm's the vice principal. That was like a good thing. Like, I'm the vice principal. I know what vice is. Like, he's, and like, obviously a very old timey, masturbatory joke. Harry Palm, I don't know if people know that because I don't think anyone's going around saying, like, oh, if you keep touching yourself,
I feel like that's probably an older thing that most people don't really recognize anymore. But yeah, I mean, it works. I definitely got the reference for sure. One thing I think too is interesting is how many references, like we talked about that, they're not slasher related, but they're here all the same. Like The Exorcist is in here for one random throwaway joke where it's just like Andrew Dice Clay's character, who, yes, that is the Andrew Dice Clay. He goes by Andrew Clay in this movie, but that's Andrew Dice Clay.
Tony Shalongi.
Tony Schlongini. You can call me Schlong. You can call me Tony, but never call me Anthony. Two of John Travolta's characters wrapped up into one. Danny Zuko from Grease and from Saturday Night Fever. Definitely, and like especially when they come down the stairs and like doing
that part was funny. Like they're like dude, like the basically like that was funny. It is like sad to see because like I mean like he wasn't doing I don't think stand up at the time, but like man, what a missed opportunity of him going like, hey, little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet. Whoa, eating her curds and bullshit. Hey,
I like him enough in this movie. I think he's pretty good. As I
was gonna say it's all just boner jokes. He wears super dude.
It's stupid, but it's still pretty damn funny, especially when he's see. And then it's just they just play the spring sound effect, or when the fucking
which is funny too.
Gets knocked over and he's at dinner.
I was gonna say the funny part was like when Rosie's like, I'm not wearing any panties. And he's like, look, doing like the wow. And then Mary the Virgin's up there like, no, I mean, don't feel weird and creeped out by that. She's just like that. Most girls don't wear their panties, but I do. See, she pulls her skirt up, and he's still like, because again, like, one guy would be like, oh, no, he's like, oh.
That's great. I do, but
I just love in like these films how they make everybody be like they're constantly running around with like a fucking boner in their pants. And they just need to run to the bathroom and like just stand off and like stand and angrily masturbate like a fucking chimp. Like
That's not what I do. I just take a fly swatter and just get down till it's gone back down. What was I saying? I was talking about, The Exorcist. Tony just randomly at one point in the cafeteria just is like, they're like, oh no, the pea soup. And then he just spins his head around and spits out pea soup. And it's like really random throwaway joke to just get The Exorcist in here. I don't know if there's like
I was going to say like thing. Well, I was going to say The Omen with Damien, like they're Mary's little brother's Damien,
I mean, when you think about it, it is a little bit weird because it's like this film is so very clearly parodying the slasher formula, but at the same time, all the jokes that it makes at the expense of other horror movies are all not within the formula. So it's I don't know, it's just weird. It's almost, it doesn't necessarily jive that well, in my opinion. But I do like some of the lesser known ones, like Dr. Moreau coming in and basically turning the football team into Teen Wolf, but also the island of Dr. Moreau. I think that's kind of a cool idea, to play off of a lesser known horror icon of Dr. Moreau. It's kind of weird and different. So I kind of like that. Now, the other thing, too, is, this movie loves to incorporate, like, oh, there's a crazed maniac running around. Just a bald guy that gets out of the local sanitarium.
Which is great, too. When he breaks out and they, like, show up and Joe Don Baker's like, there's been an escape. And you're like, how do you know? And he's like, there's a roof from the window, and it's a 1-story window.
Yeah.
like shit like that. It's like stupid, but like funny. Like that works. Like that kind of stuff. And like, it's like, but like,
or like, as the other thing that worked for me is Joe Don Baker just going around and taste testing everything. Like,
yeah,
he
he's
does
like,
it on a window, so he's like, dust. Or like, there's blood on the ground. It looks like blood, and he tastes it. It's ketchup. And then he pulls out a hot dog bun from his briefcase and dips it in. It's like, those moments are great. I do think that those are really funny. And, again, like we talked about, there are a lot of misses in this movie where it's just kind of like, if it was a stand-up comedy, you'd probably just be silence in some scenarios. But, in others, it does work really well. What do you think about so this is very similar to Student Bodies, the inclusion of like the text at one point where it's like, this is going to be a dream sequence. You can take your drink and food intermission now because it's not going to add anything to the plot. They kind of sneak that in with like the Student Bodies references.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I just think it's the biggest problem is like with the film is the fact that it's a billion jokes a minute, and it doesn't stick enough.
Yeah.
And like if the film was like an hour long, I think it'd be like a nice fun movie.
Yep.
Like, but again, like there's not enough here to carry this film for almost 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think like the whole driver's ed sequence was like kind of out of control. It kind of goes off the rails, quite literally.
Lasted like 8 minutes, and it should have been like a 3-minute thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a funny idea, like, like, hot rods, and they're driving around and shit, but, which is funny, too, because when they jump in the car, like, the explosion and stuff, you can totally see it in the jump. No one's in the car.
Yeah.
Like, if it's probably just the stunt driver ducked down, but there's no one in there, even though, like,
Yeah.
And I think, too, especially after Student Bodies, and this is, like, not so much being held against this film when I'm talking about it, but I think just the idea of just... I'm an old man now, so this whole, like, just horny teens sitting around the high school, just everyone's making out and shit, and, like, wow, look at all that. Isn't that bad that their hormones are up? It's like, I couldn't care less. Like, it's like about that kind of crap. Like, I'm so disconnected from,
Yeah.
running around to being a hormonal teen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, I get it on principle, but the fact that, like, because of that, because it's the same thing with Student Bodies, that means half the jokes are just, ooh, wowza, boobies. Ooh, wow. Oh, white creamy thighs.
It's true. Yeah. It's and I think that's, part of the problem too is the whole proliferation of sex comedies at the time, which were doing a lot of that and pretty much just that, is basically just like, how much mileage can we get out of the joke that teens are horny and they really love to have sex? It's like very limited scope there. And not only that, like most of the time, the teens that you had were like 35 years old. So, like,
you're not fooling us.
Right, exactly. They probably got done with the scene and like, ew, cooties. Like, I'm having hot flashes. I'm in menopause. Like, I don't care about any of this. But I think you're right. The film has so much rapid fire that later on it feels very exhausting, and it actually even feels like maybe the movie's exhausted with itself after a while. Towards the end of the film, when you start to get like the reveal of the Lawnmower Killer, it's almost like everybody kind of was just like, we don't really care about who the killer is, so like, I guess we need to show who it is. And it was kind of the same, same issue with Student Bodies. I think maybe to even further extent in Wacko, because at the end of the day, it ends up not being any, like, there's no real reveal of who is the Lawnmower Killer, because for the most part, there is no Lawnmower Killer, as the film kind of makes known later on that, the extent of the Lawnmower Killer only comes from Joe Don Baker's character, who is revealed to be the Lawnmower Killer at the end and has only killed teens at the prom because he was trying to make it look like he wasn't nuts, thinking that the Lawnmower Killer was coming back 13 years later. And so...
And that it could happen,
Yeah.
not that he was the original, because they show at the end the goofy guy, like, I'm the Lawnmower Killer, but I've been, redeemed, and he's like, I just wanted to show everyone that, that it could happen, and you should take what I'm saying seriously. Which is a funny idea, because again, the whole Dick Harbinger thing, that's great. Like, that's like a great, little funny thing there.
Yeah. It just seems like at the end, the film kind of treats that reveal, even like with a tired, sort of like, here it is. Like, this is what we've got. And it's unfortunate because I do kind of like the idea of, Dick Harbinger being this guy who's like, I needed to go to this extent to show you that it could actually happen. So I had to make it happen because, it's kind of it's a nice idea. But
the best part of that whole scene is when the guy that broke out of the asylum is like talking, and he's like, man, this has been the worst day of my life after being locked up for 13 years. How bad is it? Well, the Lawnmower Killer's come back. My date's been killed and something else. And you hear like him point out, and you hear the rim shot like
right, yeah, because he's doing like the whole comedy bit,
like a classic like stand up bit.
Yeah.
That was just making me chuckle because it's so like
over the top. I also like don't you like how E.G. Daily, she's feeling stalked by him, and then all of a sudden he just flashes her with his like trench coat, and she's like, oh, do you want to be my prom date? I always knew E.G. Daily was a size queen.
That's why she would play Tommy Pickles.
That's right. Yeah, unfortunately she doesn't get much of a role in this movie, but couple of key scenes here. And again, like I said, I can't believe you didn't recognize her from Dutch. She looks pretty much the same as in...
I don't even know what movie you're talking about.
You've conveniently forgotten it. All right, let's see what else. What else did we talk about that you wanted to get in here? What about how about the guy Zeke, the janitor that keeps popping up here and there, and they'll be like, yeah, like, it's Zeke.
Basically the same janitor character from fucking Steven Bodies.
I know. It's weird how strangely similar Wacko is in a lot of ways to that. I found it fun.
He doesn't have enough of a role.
Yeah.
And again, I wasn't throughout this film guessing at all who the killer was.
Yeah,
I was checked out on that part. I was.
Did you notice that in this movie, Tony Schlongini has an RC Cola? We were just talking about RC.
There was quite a few of them in here. He had those nice old school pull tab RC Colas. Whoa, Dice Clay! Little bit better than drinking that RC Cola.
I know. We were just talking about the RC Cola and how it doesn't pop up a whole lot. It's not like you go to a restaurant and they're like, you want RC Cola? And we don't have Pepsi or Coke. We got RC Cola. But in this film, they got it here. So.
Owned one of Keurig Dr. Pepper's wonderful brands.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? Don't you want to think of that? Keurig Dr. Pepper.
Keurig. Yeah.
What a fucking time to be alive.
I know.
Jesus Christ.
That's right. All right. Anything else you want to talk about with Wacko? What do you think about? I talked about it a little bit. What do you think about the Halloween aesthetic?
It's enough. It's. You can say Halloween pumpkin party enough, prom party enough times before, and it just makes it more Halloweeny than obviously Halloween itself, because Halloween didn't have any leaves in it.
It's true. Yeah. So you'd say it's a fun enough movie to watch for Halloween then?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Give it a go. I think so too. I mean, even though I don't think it has enough Halloween stuff in it, it's nice to watch.
But
for
here's the thing. I don't think everything that you watch for Halloween has to be
also true. It's
super
true.
Halloween. Because
I agree.
Again, that's the case, and all you're doing is watching Rob Zombie's Halloween. And you don't want that.
I agree. All right, so we got to give Wacko a rating on a scale of 0 to 10. Terrifying images that will scar you for the rest of your life. What would you give Wacko?
I'd give it a 5.5 out of 10. It's not bad. It's watchable. Last part of 10 minutes I had to watch in 1.5 speed. Just to get through it. But I mean, I think it's in some ways it's a little bit better than Student Bodies, but I think Student Bodies overall proves to be a funnier movie just because the scope is smaller and the parody sticks to being smaller. Wacko's does have some really good moments. Again, Joe Don Baker's great. Fucking hilarious. The reason why you should check this film out to begin with. Andrew Dice Clay as Tony Schlongini and George Kennedy as Dr. Gray. I'm they are all funny too, but I think overall the style and pace of the film, again, it's a million jokes a minute. They're you may be depending on your taste, if a couple of bad jokes don't land, you might be able to forget them and move on, but it's definitely a film of its time. It's something I think that you definitely would watch this and go, wow, this is a late 70s, early 80s film with how the style of humor. But it's fine enough. I'm glad I watched it. Something just, new to add on to the list. Support Joe Don Baker's work. But I mean, it's not something I'd probably ever really go back and visit to. It just doesn't have the staying power. So yeah, 5.5 out of 10. It'd be a very mild recommendation.
I'd give it a 6 out of 10. I think it's pretty. It's a fun movie to watch. I think that it definitely starts out a little bit stronger than it ends with. I think that over time it just stretched thin, and it was the same complaint that we had for Student Bodies as well, where it's just really hard to keep the pacing and the attention span of something that is so irreverent that, again, you're trying to keep the viewer invested in a plot that you realize does not really matter. It's there's no real reason to continue. And so the problem with that is that you need to have the jokes continuously working in order to keep the viewer invested, because the plot is really thin and not supposed to be the main idea. And I feel like Wacko just kind of, it definitely has jokes that work really well. But not enough of them. It definitely is not as, effective later on in the movie, as you've kind of seen a lot of the same jokes fly by. And again, Wacko reuses a lot of things too. So you could call that a recurring motif if you want to. But what it ends up being is it kind of wears the joke thin after a while. To the point where, again, like you mentioned with the George Kennedy inclusion at the end of the movie, where it's kind of like the outro is sort of like a throwaway. It's not really that funny. It's just kind of like, like an inclusion. They didn't know how to end that joke. So they just kind of threw something in there. I feel like, a lot of it wears thin, and the whole idea is sort of tired by the end of the movie. With that said, it works. There are definitely scenes. I would have cut some, obviously. But there are definitely scenes that work better. I think there are some legitimately funny jokes here. And, of course, as we mentioned, Joe Don Baker, probably the best part of the movie, delivers a great, portrayal of a really disheveled detective dude who ends up being, being the whole reason why they're scared in the first place in Wacko. So I think it works pretty well. But otherwise, it's not something that I probably would recommend to a lot of people. You have to be a really specific person and enjoy a specific brand of humor to really like Wacko. But if you are part of that group, I think it could be a pretty fun Halloween watch. As we said, with Student Bodies, similarly, if you put it on in the background, people are kind of watching and laughing and cracking jokes at it at the same time. I think it could be interesting to watch for Halloween. So I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I like it enough, but again, like Martin said, it's hard to give a recommendation to because I don't think that it is good enough to really recommend to most people, just a specific, subset of people. All right, so that's our episode on Wacko. And we are almost done with HaHaHalloween at this point. We have one more episode left. You know what? I would really like to do 2 episodes. There's another movie that I really would like to get in that we just saw was even out. I didn't even know it until I saw on Facebook, of all things, the other day, like an advertisement for it. And I was like, what? That movie exists and it's out this year?
What movie is that?
It's called Haul Out the Halloween. And it is I'm gonna say sequel. I don't really know, but it's a sequel-ish type thing to the Lacey Chabert Christmas movies. Haul Out. Go ahead.
Haul Out the Holly.
Haul Out the Holly. It's really hard to say. Haul Out the Holly. I think
because you're putting the emphasis on
it's my accent.
You have like an
Haul Out the Holly.
It's just Haul Out the Holly. You're like
Haul Out the Holly.
Haul
Out the Holly. But yes, I believe they did. I think there was another movie besides Haul Out the Holly. I think they did a sequel to that one, and now they've done Haul Out the Halloween. Haul Out the Halloween.
See, that's what you're putting the there's an H in it.
We can't do the episode because I can't say it. Haul Out the Halloween. And which I was like, wow, where did this come from? That really, I'm subscribed to the Lacey Chabert listserv, so I don't understand.
You mean I am? Too, though, the picture of like this movie, her beau is dressed as a sailor and her as a nurse.
Yep.
This looks like a porno. Like, like a Hallmark porno. Like, we keep the clothes on and we do just mission.
That's right. It caught me by surprise, but if we do get a chance, maybe we'll try to do that one too. But that's not the goal for the next episode of HaHaHalloween. It's a different movie, and it's gonna be fun.
I just want them to make enough Lacey Chabert fucking Halloween movies so we can. Oh my God! Famous cul-de-sac. Every Scream spooky makeover. I'm watching the IMDb trailer for it right now.
That's right.
Oh my God, this guy's a fucking goof. Why would she waste her time with him? But then again, they're Mormons in this because they're in Utah, so that's why it's so wholesomely awful.
That's true. But I would like to try to do that at some point. It'd be a fun one. I'm sure it is. So, but no, that's not the next episode. The next episode will be fun. Promise. It's gonna be a very recognizable horror comedy.
I know what it is.
What's that?
Cowboy Bebop, the movie.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The Halloween set Cowboy Bebop movie. That's right. Yeah.
Great movie if you haven't watched it.
That is true. That is true. Well, so you'll want to tune in for our last episode of HaHaHalloween, and that'll bridge us into we'll probably do one Thanksgiving episode, and then move right into our Christmas stuff. So, should be fun. You'll want to subscribe to us on basically any podcast app that you can think of. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, our home base at Spotify. Trying to get off Spotify. Really would like to get off Spotify.
Joe Rogan's just eating too much. And
Joe Rogan and the ice ads that might be peppered in through our podcast somewhere.
Is there really?
Yeah, there are, and yeah. So trying to get off Spotify. The problem is like we lose money on the podcast all the time because of all the beer that we buy. We don't make any money. So like Spotify is free. I've been trying to find other free avenues of podcasts. There's never
just put everything on Blue Sky.
There's not like a lot of great alternatives that are like free. So, but I'll keep looking. Acast is one that I've been looking at, but that inserts ads as well. into your podcast in random places. So like I could be talking. Oh, you got an ad for purple sleep pillows or whatever. I don't.
Well, hold on. Don't you dare bad talk purple mattresses.
I know, right?
Tim and Eric were selling them like a decade ago. Okay, the purple boys.
But yeah, so definitely though I've been trying to look to get off Spotify. There's other things I would like to do as well. I would definitely like to spruce up Cultsploitation and give us an actual page again to actually post updates to that, because having a website presence is nice. Again, I have to rely on like Facebook and Blue Sky, which really gets us nowhere. So I'm hoping to do that at some point, get that fixed up so that we can have an actual
because
page.
we don't do clickbait stuff.
That's true.
We don't do. You would never. They watch this movie and you'll never guess what they saw.
That's right. I record it and throw it up, and that's it. I kind of like just let it do its thing. If it gets listens, it gets listens. If it doesn't, we had fun. So basically, and we have evergreen content as well. So that's the nice thing about podcasts, is that you can go back and listen to any of our episodes at any time, and you'll still have a lot of fun, guaranteed. Or your money back because you didn't pay for it. So,
well, you know what? You should put some more money into it because it was my birthday yesterday.
That's right. Yeah.
So everybody, the 2 cents you would chip in, like make it 4 cents.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. Haul out the Halloween. We're gonna have to subscribe to Hallmark for that one. Okay.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
You know what? Maybe one of these days we'll go like the Obscurus Loop around. We'll start doing just like Murder, She Wrote episode reviews and Baywatch,
Yep.
That'd be great,
All right, so again,
maybe see if we can get back on that guy with the glasses,
Yeah.
See if Doug Walker's taking any new people and be like, hey, you know.
So yeah, subscribe to us. Leave us a nice review on any app that you listen to. I'm sure we're on it. We're also on Facebook and Blue Sky. You can find us on there, Blood and Black Rum Podcast, and give us a like or tweet us or whatever you do on there. We also have an email address, bloodandblackrunpodcast@gmail.com, where you can write to us, let us know what you like, what you don't like, what movies you want us to cover, and we'll take that into consideration. And you can donate to us on our Patreon or Spotify pages. Anything you donate goes back towards beer. And apparently trying to find a different host. So thanks in advance for that.
Wait, you're going away?
What's that?
You're going away?
No, a different host for the podcast. Not me. Not the main host. I'm not going anywhere.
So I'm going away.
Yeah. We've been doing this for like 13 years now? I guess we're not going anywhere. So probably one of the longest running podcasts besides like Marin and Joe Rogan that's out there.
Whoa, Marin just retired.
I know he did. I know. We're gonna beat him here at some point. Yeah.
Sam Cedar's a little sad that he had Obama on for his last episode.
That's right. It is interesting though, because podcasts come and go, and like while I would not say we are popular by any means, we've been here for a long time. We're if it weren't
for COVID, we'd be up to over 400 episodes.
We're podcasting and recording into the ether, but we still have 300 and something episodes over 13 years, so that's a pretty good run, all things considered. At least, if no one else listens, I'm leaving this for my children to listen to later on. They can go back and listen to how their dad felt about a random cult film movie and the boobs that were in it. Like, Under Siege. What did he think about the busty lady in Under Siege? I'm going to go listen to that.
God, you know what? That's actually a good reference.
That's right.
I almost forgot about Under Siege. But,
the porn star 90s torpedoes that were part of Under Siege.
It's Steven Seagal non-acting.
That's right.
They had to lock him in a closet for half the movie to make it watchable. Yeah. Gary Busey.
That's right.
It was Gary Busey, right?
Yeah, Gary Busey. That's right. Yep. All right, well, thanks for listening to our episode. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you're having a good Halloween season so far. Tune in next week because we'll be back for our last episode of HaHaHalloween. Until then,
chip in some money so Ryan can buy Battlefield 6 and take care.